Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. A very warm welcome to another session of this Weekend with Wisdom. This is Nitin Sridhar. Let me begin with a small prayer. Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदा विभागिने व्योमवत्व्याप्तदेहाय श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः भारती करुणापात्रं भारती पदभूषणं भारती पदमारूढं भारती तीर्थमाश्रये विद्याविनयसम्पन्नं वीतरागं विवेकिनं वन्दे वेदान्ततत्त्वज्ञं विदुशेखरभारतीं वक्रतुण्डा महाकाय कोटिसूर्यसमप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरे this is the third session by Ramaswamy ji on Vedantic interpretations of some classical English poems. He has been doing it since yesterday, and we will have one final session in the evening also at 6 p.m. In today's session, Ramaswamy ji will be taking the poem by Theodore Tilton titled "Even This Shall Pass Away," and he will be focusing on the sakshi based, objectivity based teaching of the poem, and I look forward to it personally, and I'm sure all of you will enjoy it. So with this very brief introduction, I request Sri Ramaswamy ji to start the session.
Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. One word that we can remember for the state of, or what that Vastu which is known as Atma is a beautiful Sanskrit term called sakshi. Etymologically, sakshat ikshate sadhanena vina, that is sakshi. Sakshat ikshate means that which is it is able to witness per se as it is without any instrument. That is sakshi. When we use the term witness in English, though it conveys the meaning, how we should understand it is that in its presence, everything happens. Though it does not participate in any action, it makes everything happens by its presence, and yet does not get involved or affected by anything. That is real sakshi. You can say disinterested witness, but it is not something which is indifferent. If you want to differentiate between these two words, if, let us say, to take as an example, if a person is going and standing on the terrace and he is watching a marriage procession go by, he has no connection with that marriage procession. It is not of his family. Who is he? He is just a witness to that. And then a funeral procession goes by. He is also a witness to that. He has no connection. You can say he is an indifferent witness to both. He has no connection to it. The people who are participating in the marriage procession and funeral procession, they do have connection to it. But this person is, you can say, witness. But what about the sun above? The sun above is also a disinterested witness of both the marriage and the funeral procession. But what is the difference between this person who is standing on the terrace and the sun above? It is without the sun, both these processions would not have been possible. The marriage procession also waited for the sunrise and then it happened. Without that sunlight, it is not possible to have that procession. Similarly, the funeral procession also, they waited for the sunrise and then they are doing it. Yet the sun remains unaffected by both. It is witnessing both, but in its presence, everything happens. You can say sun is sakshi here. This is what is the term that is used to describe the Supreme Self or Atma. It is a witness of everything. In its presence, everything happens, yet it does not participate in anything. Completely unaffected by the happenings, and yet it remains as a neutral witness. Another term that we can use in English language is objectivity. Objectivity is both indicative of the state and the path. The state is the state of absolute objectivity, which is the sakshi. How do we reach that state? That also is by practicing being objective in every walk of life. So it is both a state and a practice. The term objectivity is derived from the term object. Human life is a series of experiences. If you want the definition of life in Sanskrit, it is given as Anubhava Dhara. Anubhava Dhara means continuous flow of experience. Dhara means a continuous flow. Anubhava means experience. Let us say you are having experience in a classroom now. Then you'll have experience of a television. Then you have experience of lunch. Then you have experience of whatever it is, sleep or play. Then you have experience of an evening walk or chatting on phone. All these are continuous flow of experience. Then you have experience of sleep. Then you have experience of morning tomorrow. If there is a break in the experience, then we are dead. So what is the unit of life? It is experience. And what is experience? Experience is coming together of two factors, which is called as subject and object. Subject and object coming together forms the experience for you. You are the subject and the world that you experience is the object. For example, when you eat an apple, the apple is the object. You as the eater is the subject. When you contact the apple and derive that eating experience. Similarly, any experience, watching a movie is an experience. Listening to a music is an experience. Every experience is a necessary combination of subject and object. Experiences are not just confined to physical experiences. It may be at the level of the mind or emotions also. Feeling of love is an experience. Feeling of anger is an experience. Who is the object? Whoever you get angry with, your enemy or your spouse, your friend, whoever you get angry with, he is the object. Who is the subject? You are the subject. And when you feel that anger, that is an experience. Similarly, experience can be at the level of the intellect also. Certain thoughts I throw here, that is the object as far as you are concerned. When you think about it, when you reflect upon it, when you contemplate, that is an experience. Up to the level of meditation, it is all experience. Therefore, experience is coming together of subject and object. Object is clear here. Who is the subject? Vedanta says the Supreme Self, which is the witness consciousness, is the core of our personality. It remains ever a sakshi. That is why most of the Vedanta teachers also, they use the term witness consciousness. It is a sakshi, it is pure consciousness. The pure consciousness in association with the mind, meaning the thoughts, your individuality, what defines you as the individuality. So with the mind as the agent, see, from the supreme point of view, you have to remember mind is also an object actually. You can know about the mind. You can frame the rules of the mind and intellect. Okay. So it is also changeable. It is also perceivable that way. But in combination of the mind, as the knower, as the subject, you are able to experience the body and the world. This body is also part of the world. So the subject is actually the pure consciousness in association with the mind as the agent. That is the experiencer. That is the subject. In every experience, we say that there is a subject and the object. Now, if we don't understand ourselves to be that absolute pure consciousness, what happens is that this immediate subject, which is what we consider as the immediate subject, which is our mind, tends to get entangled with the object. And that is what is called as involvement. We can use this term involvement as opposite of objectivity. Involvement is when your mind gets involved in the object and therefore it loses the fact of who is the real subject. Therefore, you lose objectivity. Therefore, what happens? The whole thing becomes one unit, and whatever happens in that experience is directly affecting you, the subject. The affectation is very direct. Therefore, it is clear that we get affected by the experience, positive or negative, only when we get involved in the experience. If you are able to maintain a distance and see that experience as it is 3 feet back, you withdraw yourself and just view the experience, you will not be affected by it, even though you go through the motions of the experience. You go through the full taste of that experience, whether it is joy, whether it is sorrow, all the effects of the experiences also you go through. It is not that you are like a statue with a stone without feelings. No, you will go through all the aspects of the experience, yet you are insulated by the effects of that experience. This is when you can say you are practicing objectivity. Our Swamiji says, if you want to derive pleasure out of even eating a chocolate, you need objectivity. The right way to eat chocolate is to keep that chocolate by the side of the cheek and allow that juice to percolate into your whatever, elementary canal slowly. But you see, not just children, even adults, how they tend to eat chocolate is that they crush the chocolate and within a moment it is all gone. Yes, for a moment you do find a pleasure, but you will not have a long-lasting pleasure as much as you are aiming to get from it. You are waiting for the chocolate and when you had it, you opened the wrapper and you quickly finished it. Where is it gone? But to do that, actually, you need strength, you need objectivity. How does a person enjoy a tragic movie? Titanic, everybody is frozen to death. It's phenomenal tragedy. Nobody will be wanting to take the position of the hero there, who is also going to die. But how do we enjoy that movie? We are able to enjoy the movie because we are apart from it. We are apart from it and you are viewing from a distance. Rather, we know that some people get too much involved in the movie and then they are extremely affected by the movie also. That we can say is the success of a director or an author. When author makes you, okay, when you're reading the book, you get completely entangled and involved in the book and you become the character and you go through all the emotions that the character goes through, forgetting yourself. That is the success of the author. Similarly, the director makes you, we know, particularly in India, South India, how people are very crazy about movies. If the villain is going to come and, hit the hero from behind, suddenly he will shout in the turn back, he will say. The screen, it is an illusory show that is going on, but we think it to be very real. Just as a child will see a documentary of a tiger and the tiger is pouncing and the child starts crying as though the tiger is going to pounce on you because it is very real. We tend to lose that focus that we are a third person viewing from outside and there is something happening on the screen. Okay, we can say that is the success of the director if he is able to draw you there. But at the end of it, we do remember it is just a show and we are apart from it. Okay, let us say even as we get involved also, how quickly are you able to remember your original personality here and pull yourself away from that experience and not get affected further? That is the test of your spirituality. That is the test of your objectivity. So objectivity is to treat the subject as different from the object. When do we get involved? Is when, as I said, our ego is completely caught up in that. And when does it get caught? When you are looking at any experience very closely from a personal point of view. When do you look at it very closely? It is when you are when you are full of yourself. You don't see anything beyond. Say, for example, if there's a book and I look at it like this, I don't have a clear picture. It is very blurred. Only when I keep it at a distance like this, can I view it clearly. I can have the overall picture. Each and everything, when we look at it from a personal point of view, we get involved. If you are able to maintain, okay, here also we can bring in mind and intellect. It is the mind that tends to get involved with the intellect if you are able to view it from a distance. Then you don't get affected. A person who is standing, under a tree, he is on the ground. His vision is limited. Somebody is pushing a cart and selling his vegetables. This person is not able to see the cart, which is, let us say, a few hundred meters that side. He is not able to see it. When the cart comes into his vicinity, that is when it becomes present for him. And then once the cart passes this side, another 100 meters, he is not able to see again. His vision is very limited because he is standing on the ground level and he is very limited. But imagine the same person sitting at the top of that coconut tree and he is looking at the same cart. When it was 100 meters or 500 meters that side also, he sees it now. When the cart is passing through the tree, that is also now for him. When the cart passes that side, it is also now for him. So he is able to see the overall picture. He is not affected by it. It is not there. Now it is there, gone. All these things are not there. It is there for him all the time. Why is he able to have this? Because he is looking at from a bird's eye point of view, from a higher vision. Exactly like that. If you are able to have a higher vision and you perch yourself somewhere higher in life, you perch yourself on certain higher ideals and objectives in life, then you are able to see the overall experiences that you are going through from a different angle altogether. You don't get affected by it. You don't get involved in it. This is called as objectivity. Now, how do we practice this objectivity? As I said, when anything is held very close, we lose the picture. When it is held at a distance, we have the overall picture. This viewing something from a distance can be done from two angles, from the angle of time, from the angle of space. The terms that we can use here is horizontal view and a vertical view. Horizontal view is to view everything of your own experience across space. Vertical view is to view your experience across time. Suppose I get temperature, fever. I make a very big fuss. I am affected. I expect everybody to be around me, console me. And this is, you can say, a normal person feels like this. Why are you making a big fuss out of it? Because my body is affected. I am this body. And this is where I am totally, all other big problems, nothing I am able to see anything because I am just caught up in my body. When this is standing in front of me, everything else is blurred for me. So in the horizontal view, what are you supposed to do? Just for a moment, take a step back and look at it across space. How many people in this city today? A city of 10 million people or more. Okay, forget the city. In India, there are 135 crore people. How many of them are sick today? You are talking about a temperature that your body is going through. What could be a percentage? 1%? Okay, 0.1%, 0.01%. Take it that way. So how much it is? 135 lakhs, then 135,000. You are 1 in 2 lakhs or something like that, even if you take 0.01%. And many of them may be suffering more than you actually. I am taking a very conservative estimate. So what is 1 in 2 lakhs? 1 in 1.5 lakhs? Nothing. Actually, it is nothing. So the moment you have the overall picture, you go into insignificance. You will not get involved so much. Okay, you take care of the body normally. That's about all. Don't make a big fuss out of it. Don't get involved too much in this small experience of yours. This is the view that we have horizontally. You view any of it, we tend to get involved because it's my problem. It is very big for me. Similarly, the same way we can treat this as insignificant if you look at it from a vertical point of view, which is to view across time. You got this fever, you have lived 50 years, let us say. In 50 years, on an average, if you calculate, there will be 3 days in a year that you were really suffering. 3 days in 365 days. 1 in what? 100 days. Or 1 in 120. Once in 4 months. That's all. Okay, even if you want to take once in a month also, it really doesn't matter. 1 day in a month Just relax. That's about all. It is a God-given opportunity for you. That's all it is. Why do you make big fuss out of it? So you look at it from your own time angle. That is, you have lived so many years and you have been by and large disease-free and you are good. Just one day you got something, and why do you make a big fuss out of it? See, imagine we all had, let us say, a maths teacher who was like a terror in our school. And one day you did not finish your homework, and you thought that day that was the end of the life. What all the punishments you will give, how maybe it will be humiliating for you, or it will be painful for you. All those, that fear and that anxiety about that punishment, that day you could never imagine that you could cross that day. Now 10 years later, 20 years later, that same person looks back at the incident of not taking the homework to the school and the maths teacher punishing for it. He himself will laugh at it. It is a joke. This is a normal tragedy. Even certain tragedies with reference to highest level, like death or something like that also. Oxygen cylinder was to come, it was not coming, and the person is suffering. And that time it is a very traumatic experience. If you look at that same experience 10 years later, 20 years later, it is, you just look at it in a completely different way. Now, how you are able to look at it 10 years later or 20 years later, imagine if you are able to somewhat view it at that point of time like that. That will be phenomenal. And that is having a vertical view. So across space, if you look at it, across time, if you look at it, it is just a small thing. All these incidences actually pass away. And that is the theme. What is the mantra for objectivity? Mantra for objectivity is, even this shall pass away. Every experience of ours, it is the law of nature that it will pass away. If you cling on to it, you are going to suffer. Because it is the law of nature that it will not wait. It will not be stay put in a place. It will not be stay put in a point of time. It has to pass away. But the mind wants such pleasurable experience to stay. And we'll see in that poem, invariably we want even the painful experiences to stay with us. It is because of your wanting that you continue to be experiencing that pain also. Unnecessary. If you are able to perch yourself on something permanent and you watch the life and all the experiences in the world as a procession that it passes away, automatically you gain objectivity. So they promote each other. The practice of objectivity makes you spiritual, and the more you become spiritual, the more you become objective to all experiences that you have in life. This point about objectivity is brought about by Theodore Tilton in this beautiful poem titled Even This Shall Pass Away. As usual, we'll just first read the poem.
Even this shall pass away. Once in Persia reigned a king who upon his signet ring graved a maxim true and wise, which, if held before his eyes, gave him counsel at a glance, fit for every change and chance. Solemn words, and these are they, even this shall pass away. Trains of camels through the sand brought him gems from Samarkand. Fleets of galleys through the seas brought him pearls to match with these. But he counted not his gain. Treasures of the mine or main, what is wealth, the king would say, even this shall pass away. Mid the revels of his court, at the zenith of his sport, when the palms of all his guests burned with clapping at his jests, he, amid his figs and wine, cried, O loving friends of mine, pleasure is come, but not to stay. Even this shall pass away. Lady fairest ever seen was the bride he crowned his queen. Pillowed on his marriage bed, softly to his soul he said, though no bridegroom ever pressed fairer bosom to his breast, mortal flesh must come to clay, even this shall pass away. Fighting on a furious field, once a javelin pierced his shield. Soldiers with a loud lament bore him bleeding to his tent. Groaning from his tortured side, pain is hard to bear, he cried, but with patience day by day, even this shall pass away. Towering in the public square, 20 cubits in the air, rose his statue carved in stone. Then the king, disguised unknown, stood before his sculptured name, musing meekly, what is fame? Fame is but a slow decay, even this shall pass away. Struck with palsy, sore and old, waiting at the gates of gold, said he with his dying breath, life is done, but what is death? Then in answer to the king fell a sunbeam on his ring, showing by a heavenly ray, even this shall pass away. Theodore Tilton.
Even this shall pass away is a beautiful translation of the original Persian poem that is talking about King of Persia. As such, as we had seen and listened to the reading of the poem, there is not much complication or explanation that is required for this poem. All that we need to understand and visualize is how this king is able to go through all the experiences of life. What was his attitude? How was he able to maintain this objectivity? And what was the mantra that he used at every point of time? Literally, we can use it, even as we are struggling in this path to gain the knowledge of the self and move towards enlightenment. As a temporary measure also, if we are able to take this mantra and practice, it does work. This we have to remember. We'll go through this poem now. Once in Persia reigned a king who upon his signet ring graved a maxim true and wise, which if held before his eyes, gave him counsel at a glance, fit for every change and chance. Solemn words, and these were they, even this shall pass away. This king of Persia, Iran, he had a ring, and in that ring he had graved this sentence, even this shall pass away. And what is the power of that sentence? Whatever be the situation, whatever be the circumstance, the moment he had any problem, all that he needed to do was look at his ring like this. It immediately gave him the answer, gave him counsel at a glance. And what? That was fit for every change and chance. Whatever be the situation in life, high or low, at every situation, whenever he required any counseling, all that he needed to do was just look at that ring. And what was carved in that? These words were carved. Even this shall pass away. Even this shall pass away. It will go away. First, he is talking about the experience with wealth. Trains of camels through the sand brought him gems from Samarkand. Fleets of galleys through the seas brought him pearls to match with these. But he counted not his gain. Treasures of the mine or main. What is wealth? The king would say, even this shall pass away. First, he is talking about wealth. Here you have to remember, The main character or the hero of this poem is a king. That means all the experiences that the royalty has, it is in extreme. He will have extremity of pleasure. He will have extremity of wealth. Even pain, he will have extremity. Fame, he will have extreme. So it is ideal way to look at it like that. Okay. Since being a king, he got wealth from all parts of the world. Samarkand is a place near Afghanistan. The camels got gems from there. So he had wealth brought to him through the land route also, and then through the sea route also. Fleets of galleys through the seas, they got a lot of pearls for him. See, what we have to remember here is he did not hate wealth. He was very much in the mode of acquiring wealth also. But he did not count his gain. He did not count his gain based on the amount of wealth that he accumulated. Treasures of the mind or main, wherever the treasures came from, right from the mine or the main road, he did not count his gain. What is wealth? The king would say. So what is wealth actually? Wealth is a commodity that can be exchanged for material objects or sense objects. I repeat that wealth is a commodity that can be exchanged for sense objects. That means you can buy things with your wealth, but there is a limitation on these things. And what are these things? These are the things that can relate with your body. You can buy something for your eyes to see, color and form. You can buy music or some sound for your ears. You can buy food for your tongue. You can buy some touch clothes and other comforts for your skin. You can buy smell for the nose. That's all is. You cannot buy anything more than that. You can buy a bed with a lot of money, but you cannot buy sleep. That is something else. Okay. So sometimes you will find that people, they are traveling on the truck with bricks or sand that they are happily they are sleeping on that and going. Not even comfortable. That is not even an even surface there. And those laborers who are going to load and unload the bricks and they are going, in the travel, they are happily sleeping and going. So therefore, they may not be rich, but they have got sleep. A person may have the comfort of and luxury of an AC room and a bed, but not get sleep. Not correlating. I'm saying it's possible like this. So therefore, you can buy certain things that your body can relate. Forget about how we are talking here about the ultimate happiness. Even emotions you cannot buy with wealth. Suppose you say there is a person who is giving his daughter in marriage. If you pay a big dowry to him and you are able to give that, you can, let us say, get married to that girl. What is the guarantee that you are getting her emotions? No chance. If you want to actually get emotions of the other person, you should spend not wealth, something else you should spend. Nothing comes free of cost. Remember this. But wealth cannot be exchanged for this. You have servant, just by paying more and more salary, can you win their loyalty? No. It is the feeling with which you give and how you treat them that is going to get that loyalty back to you. So therefore, you need to show emotions, spend emotions to get back emotions. Wealth cannot buy emotions. Wealth cannot buy knowledge. You can buy a book. When is it that you are getting the knowledge? Knowledge is when you spend your thought on it, when you think about it, when you reflect and internalize it, that is when you get knowledge. Sometimes with wealth, you can get a seat in the college because there is a quota for donors. based on your donation, you can get a seat. Sometimes you can get a seat in the college based on your poverty also. Suppose if there is a quota for below poverty line or something, and you can get a seat there because you are poor. So sometimes you get a seat because of wealth, sometimes you get a seat because of poverty, but both don't guarantee knowledge. They can only guarantee a seat in the college. You need to think, you need to expand, you need to reflect on the thoughts, and that is when you become knowledgeable. So knowledge is not gained by wealth. Emotion is not gained by wealth. Happiness is of a different kind altogether. So Swami Ramatirtha says beautifully, iron and gold are good for buying iron and gold. That's all. He says from one angle that Indians understood this long back because it is a continuous civilization for long. That is why here renunciation is valued more than wealth. One who has wealth and power, he falls at the feet of a man of renunciation, who is able to understand a certain value above that. Wealth is not something to be hated. Wealth is Mahalakshmi for us. Everything that is beautiful, everything that is auspicious is Mahalakshmi. But do not divorce Lakshmi and Vishnu, not possible. You see always the picture that Mahalakshmi sits at the feet of Vishnu and massages him. Vishnu represents the higher values. Lakshmi is always serving him. Wherever there is higher values, wealth will be always there. If you only try to do Lakshmi Puja and try to get only wealth without values, it will be there for a while and go away. You see that wherever for generations wealth is sustained, whether in a family or a society or a community, it is the values that have been sustained for long. Otherwise, within 3 generations, all the accumulated wealth will go. So wealth has a limitation. This is how you reflect. This is how you reflect on what is the utility of wealth. That is why Bhajagovindam also says, Muda Jahihi Dhana Agama Trishna. He does not say renounce wealth. Renounce the thirst for wealth. If you don't understand the value for wealth, you will be craving for it without knowing the utility for it. Then you will know how, you don't know how to relate with wealth. Money is an accelerator in life. Once you press the accelerator in the car, there will be a lot of speed. And unless otherwise you have control, it will meet with an accident. That is what happens to most people when they become wealthy. Nothing per se wrong with it, but then you must know how to handle wealth. Otherwise, you are inviting accidents into your life. Here is a king who commanded all the wealth. But he counted not his gain, treasures of the mine or main. What is wealth? The king would say, even this shall pass away. That's why the coins are round in shape. It will roll away. Paper, it will fly away. Now we want to make it like a plastic card and put it in our wallets, thinking that it will be permanent. It will not be. What is wealth? The king would say, even this shall pass away. Next, he is talking about pleasure. Mid the revels of his court, at the zenith of his sport, when the palms of all his guests burned with clapping at his jest, he, amid his figs and wine, cried, O loving friends of mine, pleasures come, but not to stay, even this shall pass away. This picture, this stanza paints a picture that must clear the misconception of many people who have of Vedanta or Vedantins, that these people are totally otherworldly. They don't know how to relate with the world or enjoy the pleasures of the world. Not so. If you see the life of Lord Krishna, he is nobody can match the way that he has enjoyed his life in every way, full way. In fact, a person who is objective has his mind completely available for enjoyment. See, imagine there is a match going on and you are given the ticket and there is a lot of friends assembled there and you have every kind of recreation that is there. But your mind is preoccupied in some office problem or something. Sitting there, you will not be able to enjoy. What is objectivity? When you are in a stadium like Eden Gardens, you are there. When you are in office, you are there doing the work. You don't allow the office problem to interfere when you are at home. You don't allow the home problem to interfere when you are at office. How are you able to switch roles and be there in the present? That is objectivity. That is objectivity. So this person knows exactly how to enjoy life. He is in full vigor and full enjoyment. He doesn't hold back. But he has the overall understanding of what this pleasure is all about. What is the utility of it? And how should he relate to it? So here in the court, he is there seated with all his guests, courtiers, and a lot of fun, a lot of maybe poetry session or jokes, whatever it is happening. And he himself is participating and completely thoroughly enjoying. All are clapping for his guests. He's enjoying drink. In Persia, they drink maybe wine more. He amid his figs and wine. Even as he is enjoying all these things, he at that moment he's remembering. See, it is not that you go and sit in seat of meditation when you are watching a cricket match in Eden. No, not so. You are there completely participating and enjoying. But one aspect of your personality is remembering this truth. So that is dramatized here, where he says, he cries, "Oh, loving friends of mine, pleasures come but not to stay." What is this pleasure that we enjoy in this world? The pleasures that we enjoy in this world are cessation of agitations. Our mind is agitated for want of something, and when that gets fulfilled by an external object, our agitations cease. When the agitation cease, what we experience, we call it as pleasure. In Sanskrit, you can call it as sukham. What is the difference between sukham and anandam? Sukha has an opposite which is called dukkha. Pleasures are usually contact-born pleasures. When you don't get it, there is dukkha. When you get it, there is sukha. End of sukha is dukkha, end of dukkha is sukha. So they come and go both in pairs. One will come, then the other will come. Ananda is what is known as Swarupa Lakshana, or your inherent nature. Ananda is a term that does not have an opposite. That which is Ananta is Ananda. Ananta means endless. That means it is unbroken. Here our pleasures are broken. Pleasure is broken by pain. Again, the pain will be broken by pleasure. It is a blessing of nature that we are going to get pain also. We'll see when the stanza on the pain comes. It is a law of nature, and it is not just a law, it is a blessing of nature that we are getting this pairs of opposites. But when pleasure comes, do enjoy it. Thoroughly enjoy it. But remember, that will also pass away. There is a frequency of both your mind and the world that has to match. See, mind, imagine mind to be one circle or an ellipse, world to be another ellipse. Your mind is moving in its own frequency, in its own direction, in its own speed. Similarly, the world is moving in its own direction and speed. When both these frequencies match at a point, that is when you experience the pleasure and you want to hold it. It will not. Mind will change. Even if you keep your mind constant, the world will change. Winter will come, winter will go, and summer will come. How can you hold it? So when summer comes, there will be displeasure for you. So both these things, for a momentary time when they meet, that is when you understand it as a pleasure. And that, he says, pleasure comes. Pleasures come, but not to stay. Even this shall pass away. Then he is talking about the highest form of sensual pleasure. Lady fairest ever seen was the bride he crowned his queen. Pillowed on his marriage bed, softly to his soul he said, though no bridegroom ever pressed fairer bosom to his breast, mortal flesh must come to clay, even this shall pass away. In the previous stanza, he cried aloud and said, "Ah, friends of mine." But now he says, softly to his soul, he said, he should not say it aloud. Now, here he is talking about the highest form of pleasure that anybody can think of in this world. The highest form of pleasure is the union between a husband and wife, or a man and a woman, which is symbolized here as the experience that one has on the wedding night. And who is that lady? She is more than a Miss Universe. Lady fairest ever seen was the bride he crowned as queen. On the marriage bed, to himself he says. That means, again, it is not that at that point of time he is not going to experience or enjoy whatever he is going to experience, but he is remembering this. What is he remembering? He is having this in the back of the mind. All this is the knowledge that he has gained before. It is not that during the experience you are gaining some knowledge. It is there in the back of the mind. You are rooted in that thought. With that thought, when you are going through any experience, it is wonderful for you. Though no bridegroom ever pressed fairer bosom to his breast, mortal flesh must come to clay. Even this shall pass away. Why is this considered the highest form of pleasure? Every pleasure that we get through contacts of the sense enjoyments is usually limited to one or two senses. You eat mango. What is it that you are gaining the pleasure through? Through the tongue. That's all it is. Nothing else. Okay, you can argue if the mango slices are cut nicely and kept there, you can see it. That is not relevant here. Or there is a good smell in some food, that is, nose can also participate. That's all. But there is no role for ears or the skin there. If you watch a movie, your eyes participate, not your nose. Okay, sound you can say, if there is a good music, you can hear, but not the other sense organs. If there is a perfume, your nose is able to participate there, not ears, not eyes. So each and every sense contact that we have is limited to one or two sense objects, sense organs. This is considered the highest pleasure because all the five sense organs are involved in it. Not only that, at the emotional level, this connection draws into that completely. So therefore, it is said that this is the highest form of pleasure. And the chance of a person completely losing himself and getting involved in this is definitely the highest. As the king goes through this experience also, what is it that he has reflected before that he is remembering this, that mortal flesh must come to clay? What is it that you are actually experiencing? There are two poems in this poems book. One is this, another is The Pineapple and the Bee by William Cooper. Both of them talk directly about the human motivations of acquisition and enjoyment. And this verse has a direct parallel in the famous verse of Bhajagovindam, verse 3, where Adi Shankaracharya says, it is exactly the same thing he says. Naris tanavara nabi desham drishtva maga moha vesham etan mansava sadivikaram manasi vichintaya varam varam. Seeing the bosom and navel of a woman, do not fall a prey to frenzied delusion. It is a modification of flesh, fat, etc. Reflect well in your mind over and over again. Any enjoyment that you go through, try to break it down to the last level and try to analyze it part by part. You'll find that this is how the reflection process must be there. That's why he says reflect in your mind over and over again. A boy likes a girl, you try to define what his pleasure in the contact of the girl is. He will try to reason out and say something. He will say her hair is beautiful. And that is what is most likable. Suppose if you are cutting that hair and giving to him separately, Not only he will not like, he will dislike. Hair is something that you don't want to keep near you. Throw it away. It is something inauspicious. But that same hair, when it is flowing on her head like that, it is very attractive for him. Hair per se you don't like. Teeth per se you don't like. But her smile is very beautiful, you'll say. If the teeth alone is given, how will it be? That is a very gory experience. You can say that when she blushes, the blood that flows in her cheek, it is something that's very attractive. If you collect the blood only and give, he will run away. Nails, no. So each and every part of the body per se, it is distasteful for you. But all of them put together and nicely structured and shaped, and the skin is there to cover everything like that. How is it that every aspect of it which you don't like, when put together, you like it? It is Maya. It cannot be explained. How is it? It is something that is within, that is actually making it all attractive. If all these things are there and the girl is dead, would you may cry for a while, but you will make arrangements to burn her or bury her. That's all. You don't like it. You will not want to relate with it. Therefore, what is actually pleasurable for you or what is actually attractive for you is something else, but that is getting expressed through these senses. So therefore, the source of the pleasure is something else. And the destination of the pleasure is also something else. That is completely hidden. And what is getting the attention is the external manifestation. And what is that? It is a modification of flesh and fat. That's all it is. This is called as Pratipaksha Bhavana. Pratipaksha Bhavana means, Paksha means side, Pratipaksha means the opposite side or the other side. View something from the other side. It is an intellectual re-evaluation of the same object from a different angle. If you look at something only from one angle, you get only one picture of it, one side of it. If you look at it from the whole, only then you get a full picture. Then you will know exactly how to relate to it properly. Like a rose is there, very attractive. You immediately go and try to pluck it. There is also thorns there. So rose along with the thorns is the package. So you have to view the rose in totality like that, and still then you can enjoy the rose. But you must remember, it comes with that package of thorn only. Like that, whatever. So what is the harm here? Shankaracharya says, Drishtva maga moha avesha. You need not get into a frenzied delusion. That alone you need to control here. Swamiji said that in one of the clubs, there was this, that club is famous for the dancing by the girls there, and they used to draw crowds. For some reason, during a month or a weekend, the girls were not available. But then how to run the business there? They caught hold of few boys and dressed them as women, and they were dancing with all the like as close as possible in the same movements and other. And the people who were gathered there, they were cheering and enjoying in the same way as they would be watching the girls dance. Now, what is the reason? You get completely involved. You are not in it. It is that thought that the girl dancing and you are enjoying it. You completely lose yourself. It is just, he says, a modification of flesh and fat. It is your mind that projects it there, and you are sucking your own blood and enjoying the taste of it and thinking it is something else that is giving you that taste. What gives you the pleasure is the source of Atma that is within. This is what we need to understand, and the external things just make a cover up for that. It is nothing but a modification of flesh and fat. Imagine all those things that is inside our body. It is our fortune that we are not able to see it. See, anything that comes out of your body, do you relate to it? Blood, spit, urine, anything, all those. So all this you are actually storing within your body. And it is a modification of all these things which gives a structure to your body. And you fall for it. He is only against your frenzied delusion of the mind here. Fortunately, this king is not like that. Though no bridegroom ever pressed fairer bosom to his breast, mortal flesh must come to play. He clearly understands and then goes through that experience, goes through that enjoyment. Even this shall pass away. That same person who is ever is the experiencer or the experience, they are going to grow old. They are not going to have the same attraction at the body level. All this is not coming at the age of 60 or 80 when you see that. It is not necessarily at that time the wisdom will dawn. It comes through knowledge. And even as he is going through that experience, he is able to relate to it that way. Then he is talking about pain. Fighting on a furious field, once a javelin pierced his shield. Soldiers with a loud lament bore him bleeding to his tent. Groaning from his tortured side, pain is hard to bear, he cried. But with patience day by day, even this shall pass away. This knowledge, as I said, is applicable for all. All of us go through ups and downs, all the pairs of opposites like summer, winter, honor, dishonor, pleasure, pain affect us. So you need to maintain your balance. But you know to whom this is most applicable? It is most applicable to the Raja Rishis or the kings. Why? Because the extremity of their experiences are from one end to the other end. All the comforts and luxury they have at the palace, but on the field, they are left to die with their wounds open. They will not be even taken back in the kingdom. They are left to die there. And that is the life of a soldier, a king. You are having all the scents and perfumes and chandan and various other cosmetics you will have all the time on your skin. You have to be in the heat and blood will flow and the weapons will pierce you. That is the life of a king. So therefore, to say that I am not this body and to maintain your objectivity, that requires a lot of knowledge. Therefore, in the good old days, the Raja Rishis had this Atma Vidya. Of course, as I say, it is applicable for all. To them, little more than others. So here is the king going through that experience of fighting. And then what happens? A javelin pierces him and he is bleeding profusely. Groaning from his tortured side, what does he say? Pain is hard to bear, he cried. Of course, it will be hard to bear for all of us. Pain has a utility in our lives. As I said, it is a blessing of nature. There are two things that we can thank the nature for providing us this pain. One is, without the contrast of the pain, we will not be able to appreciate pleasure. A person who has not gone into the sunlight will not know the benefit of a shade. Only if he is going through this pain, that does he know what pleasure is. That is why it is an admixture of pleasure and pain that makes the life interesting. Imagine you eating only a dry chapati or something. It's not possible. Or only a spicy vegetable. No, it has the combination that actually works. It could be idli or any breakfast or anything. It is very bland. It's very dry. Then you have to have some chili powder or sambar or something which is contrasting to it. So it is the contrasting experience which makes you enjoy this. Pain gives the contrast for pleasure. Secondly, pain is a reminder for us to become introvert and find out the real purpose of life. If pain is not there in life, we will never ask the question, why it is coming to me, what is happening, what is life? All these questions will not come. So if you are too much indulgent in life and you get involved in life without remembering the purpose of life, Nature doesn't spare you. It forcefully gives you knocks and shocks to make you think, to make you understand, to make you reflect and contemplate on why am I given this human life. This capacity only a human being has. Therefore, pain is a blessing of nature. At that point of time, no doubt it is very difficult to swallow. But remember, nature is also very, very benevolent for us, that it gives only as much pain that we can bear. A doctor who has got an injection for the child, he will give it to the child. The child can bear only that injection, not an adult's big injection or an injection which is given to an animal like elephant. That it will not be given to a human being. But no doubt at that point of time when there is that injection is, it is done, it is pressed against you, there will be pain, but it is a matter of time, matter of just like this. What actually is the quantum of pain and the timing of pain is very less. Invariably, we hold on to that pain and make life miserable for ourselves. So what really increases the pain is not the actual experience of pain. It is the holding time in your mind. Imagine I'm carrying this glass like this. If I hold it like this for a minute, it's okay. If I hold it for 5 minutes, slightly I'll feel a pain if I have to just hold it like this without moving. If I were to hold it for 1 hour, my hands will become numb. And what if you ask me to hold it for 5 hours or more? I cannot. In and through all this, has the weight of the glass increased? It has not increased. What has increased? What has increased is the holding time. You don't want to let it go. It is the hard truth. People unconsciously fall in love with pain. There are some people who cannot live without worries and anxieties. It has become part and parcel of their lives. They don't want to let it go. They feel otherwise something is lacking. Why you have to hold it? Pleasure and pain, they are visitors for us. That's all it is. You just take 3 steps back and watch like a army officer watches the march past of the soldiers go by. It will take time to heal. Let it heal. That's all it is. The hard part is over. More than pain, what causes more tragedy for us is that anxiety for the pain and all other socio-economic and various other factors that we connect with the pain. How will others see it? How is my face looking? All these things, unnecessary factors that we take into consideration and increase the pain. Pain is hard to bear, he cried, but with patience, day by day, even this shall pass away. We see a parallel of this in Gita, beautiful verse, 2nd chapter, I think verse 14, he says, Agama payino anityaha. Exactly the same thing. Even they shall pass away. Agama payino anityaha. It will come, it will go. It is anityaha, it's impermanent. Tam stitiksha swabharata. You bear it. This titiksha is a quality, is a beautiful quality of putting up with pain with pleasure. You are able to, this is an essential quality of a seeker, spiritual seeker. Because world will give you heat and cold. It will give you honor and dishonor. All the pairs of opposites, world will give. It is very interesting. Not only you have to put with pain, you have to put up with pleasure also like that. Tam stitikshasva bharata. Because you will not allow your mind to get involved in pleasure also. Even this shall pass away. Both pain and pleasure, both will pass away. Then he is talking about fame. Towering in the public square, 20 cubits in the air. Rose his statue carved in stone. Then the king, disguised, unknown, stood before his sculptured name, musing meekly, what is fame? Fame is but a slow decay. Even this shall pass away. Fame is supposed to be more intoxicating than even sensual pleasures. It's very subtle. Everybody looks forward to some fame or the other. If only my name comes in the newspaper once, one photograph comes. or even if, let us say, I don't know, this will come in Facebook or YouTube, how many people are viewing, how many people are watching. There's always this thought, that a thought of recognition, that is much, much intoxicating. How many, in my circle, how many people know me? In the whole world, how many people know me? It's a very, very, what to say, a glaring weakness all of us suffer from. Imagine rulers and great kings, they were forgotten not after their lifetime, even in their lifetime. Saddam Hussein was a ruler. Even in his own lifetime, the statue that he built for himself was brought down very unceremoniously. And everybody thinks that he is going to be there forever and create so much of preparations for it. That's why he says here, his own statue, the king is watching in disguise. Okay, he's saying 20 cubits in the air. 20 cubits means 30 feet, a big statue. And he's looking at it, and he's wondering, what is fame? He's very famous. His statue is there in the public square for everybody to see. Maybe it is a tourist spot also. Whoever comes to that place also will see. But even he's very famous now. He is musing meekly. What is fame? Fame is but a slow decay. Instead of decaying immediately after death, you will decay in another 50 years. That's all it is. However great you are also. And remember, who are the people who are remembered till today? We don't know whether Rama, Krishna, Buddha, Shankara and all celebrated any of their birthdays during their lifetime. But till today, we celebrate Shankara Jayanti and Krishna Jayanti and Buddha Purnima. Why? They just focused on what is to be done, and they did their karma for the whole world as Loka Sangraha. Such people never are forgotten. They continue to live forever. And this is what we want. This immortality project is what we are working on. And we want to become famous and not die at all. But eventually we will be forgotten and we will be gone. Why? The focus is on the individuality, which is limited. So if you want to become famous and eternal, you catch hold of that eternity. That's all. Fame otherwise is a slow decay. Shakespeare says in Othello, reputation is an idle and most false imposition, oft got without merit and lost without deserving. Reputation. It is this fame. Mostly he says it is got without merit. You saw that movie? So nice, so nice. This idle talk. It is an idle talk, he says. False imposition. Gossip session. You had that, whatever, that dosa in that shop. So nice, so nice. Gossip like this, and without, before you realize, that shop is very famous and you have to talk like everybody is talking. Movies are made hit. Restaurants become famous. All like this. Overnight, they become famous like this. Idle talk, he says. And then when it is actually putting in an effort and it has to maintain that position, overnight it will lose the reputation also. Oft lost without deserving. A report comes, I saw a cockroach in that kitchen. And the whole reputation goes overnight. You don't even care to examine whether it is right or wrong or it's possible. Gone. It's gone. This is the volatile nature of fame or reputation, which we try to cling on to with all our efforts. What is fame? Fame is but a slow decay, even this shall pass away. Lastly, death. Struck with palsy, sore and old, waiting at the gates of gold, said he with his dying breath, life is done, but what is death? Then, in answer to the king, fell a sunbeam on his ring, showing by a heavenly ray, even this shall pass away. He has had every experience of life to the fullest possible extent. Thoroughly, he has finished all the experiences. Now he is old, struck with paralysis. Waiting at the gates of gold means he is waiting for the last experience of this lifetime, which is death, dying breath. He has said, I have understood life. Life is done. But what is death? He is now contemplating. What is death? As usual, immediately the answer came to him. Then in answer to the king, fell a sunbeam on his ring. He immediately saw a sunlight fell on his ring. And it showed the answer. What is the answer? Even this shall pass away. What is death? Death is one more experience. Another experience. Your inner personality has had enough with this outer body. It is no more able to experience with this. So if your experiences are still waiting to be fulfilled, it will pass on to the next body. That's all it is. Or if it is all over, you are enlightened, no more birth for you. Either which way, death is another experience like what birth was. It is so frightening for us. We feel that this is the end of it. But that is what we are saying, that objectivity is to view it from a bigger picture. You see that every experience that we go through in this life itself is a series of birth and death. Your childhood is dead and your boyhood is born. Your boyhood is dead and youth is born. Now you look back and see all those things. At that point of time, and when we were youth, all of us thought, nothing can happen to me. What Bhajagovindam says is Yavvana Garvam. But that also passed away. In that way, that youth died actually before that manhood was born. So like this, when we are having a series of experiences in this lifetime, can we not project and see that overall in this body itself, it will pass through and it will continue? As long as the cause and effect continues, this will continue. This is what the life lesson is all about. So for death also, there is nothing to be overtly concerned about. It is just another experience. It is just another experience. So even this shall pass away. Before we conclude, we will take up Swamiji's commentary on this.
Theodore Tilton presents the king of Persia as a picture of objectivity and detachment. The king carved a great maxim on his ring, even this shall pass away. Rooted in the highest values of life, he lived a life of true renunciation. He would not identify with the best or the worst of things that this world offered him. The king was bountifully blessed with wealth and women, name and fame. He faced also the pangs of disease, decay and approaching death. But all along he maintained his serenity and objectivity in life. The world is an admixture of fortune and misfortune, pleasure and pain, virtue and vice. The inevitable pairs of opposites in life are inexhaustible. Your mental equilibrium and intellectual equipoise should remain unaffected by these fluctuations. You become established in that state by your attunement to higher values. The great king of Persia achieved that exalted state.
Yeah, just as I mentioned yesterday, today evening also I'll say, the announcement is Bhagavad Gita lectures on chapter 4 by Sunandaji will be from December 1 to 4 online. It is open for all. All those who are interested are requested to register in our website, vedanta-kolkata.org. And you may pass this information to all your friends, relatives everywhere. As it is online, anybody can join from any part of the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ramaswamy for yet another enlightening session. Viewers, if you have any questions, now is the time you can put it in Q&A box. Or if you're watching on YouTube, you can also share it on YouTube and I'll take it up. As we wait, I especially liked this poem, Ramaswamy, especially the notion of the detachment, sthita pragnatva. So this, I think this is something very, very important in our day-to-day life, and it's more difficult to actually practice than to read.
Absolutely. Correct.
I mean, no matter how many Vedanta lectures like this we attend, but at the end of the day, when something strikes, we forget everything and get emotionally entangled in what life throws at us.
Absolutely correct. And that is where a constant remembrance and practice is required. Plus, I would say association with those people who are actually practicing it, that will be much more effective rather than just we reading and thinking for ourselves. Of course, that is required, but it is the the satsang and the company of the holy people and the guru who are living this knowledge, that will be very helpful for us. Like a magnet, they will affect us.
Very true. I think nowadays there is a misunderstanding about what satsanga actually means. I mean, people think satsanga means just get together and singing bhajans and all. That is all fine. I mean, that there is no harm in it. It's a good thing. But satsanga actually means sat purusha sangha, sadhu sangha, right? So you have to be near a guru or guru-like figure, somebody who is already attained. So I think from an urban setup, it's also difficult to find many people like that.
That is true. And of course, the association of the right like-minded people is the main. But not only that, the company that we, let us say, all of us are caught up in social media. So what is the friends and other things who we relate to there? And what is the type of food that we eat, music that we listen? In each and everything, there must be a conducive environment that is maintained. So wherever we are, then suppose if you are able to, even in YouTube, suppose if you are able to connect to some people, another thing, you can virtually try to create that satsang atmosphere for you. Though it is not the ideal way to do it, that's the best that we can do with the technology that we have now. Use it as a satsang that way.
I think this notion of repeated practice you mentioned about repeatedly we have to put in effort and the dispassion and detachment. Even I remember reading Madhusudana Saraswati highlighting it in his Bhagavad Gita Bhashya, the Gudhartha Deepika. And he says these both are the ways to control the mind, to bring the mind into restrainment. I think this is a very powerful idea. And this poem somehow also reminded me of that idea.
Correct.
Viewers, if you have any questions, please post it. We have just few more minutes. I'm not seeing any questions as of now, Ramaswamy. We'll just wait one more minute.
Yeah.
We just received one question. My question is, to succeed in spiritual journey in today's world, is it easier to practice detachment in some form day by day slowly, or just like the king of Persia in the poem, should one continue to welcome all worldly experiences and yet practice to not get affected?
Question is, to succeed in spiritual journey in today's world, is it easier to practice detachment in some form day by day slowly, or just like king of Persia in the poem, should we one continue to welcome all experience? So, okay, see, whatever is thrown at you, it is to be accepted as the Lord's grace or blessings. We are not overtly seeking any experience. In other words, in order for me to get detachment, I need not go and court all the attachments in life. Okay. Now, whatever is thrown at me is based on my past karma, however and wherever the effects are going to come, in which form, I really do not know, but they are going to come to me. With this knowledge, I am open to it. So a Vedantin will look at it from the point of view of that it is my prarabdha that I have to go through this. A Bhakta will look at it as it is God's Leela that I have to go through it. Either which way, you are able to distance from it. Okay, you don't have control over your past. All that you can do now is how you can approach the present. In the present, whatever is thrown at me, I probably don't have control over it, but let me get hooked on to the something higher so that the affectations or the effect of those things do not touch the core of my personality. So we need not court something. In other words, for me to get dispassionate, I need not first develop a habit of smoking and then try to get detached from smoking or anything like that. So as and when any experiences come, you will be able to practice this detachment with this knowledge.
Thank you, Ramaswamy. I think that's a very important point, that you can pursue dispassion either through deliberately going away from the complexities of life, that is the path of sannyasa, or you can stay within the life, within the life hustles, but with an attitude of acceptance rather than attitude of indulgence. So I think this is a very important aspects to keep in mind, for especially the second path is what is relevant for most of us, because most of us have desires, most of us are not eligible or fit for taking sannyasa.
In fact,
Yes.
Swamiji always says that practicing renunciation in action is better than renunciation of action. So as you are practicing the householder's life and doing all the activities, maintain the spirit of sannyasa in what you do.
Very interesting. So wonderful, Ramaswamy. Thank you again for another very intellectually stimulating session, and I look forward to seeing you again in the evening. Viewers, we have the final session of this Weekend with Wisdom today evening at 6 p.m. Do join. With this, we conclude the session. Shri Guru Bhyo Namah.